had to do something about this particular issue. And I then thought, how am I ever going to go back to the community, having promised that I was going to turn this around? A situation that, compared to the other states, in terms of procurement and the sales of securities and bonds, ranked 46, under the state of Mississippi. Mississippi had a governor named Haley Barbour. He might not want you to live on your block, on his block, but he would give you a contract if you're minority firm. The most abysmal statistic that you've ever heard, with 2.63% of the contracts going to women, who constituted 29.3% of those already certified to get deals, with only 2.5% going to minorities, even though 6% of those who were qualified were Asian, they got 1% of the contracts. 7.5% were African American, they got 0.66% of the contracts, and 8.5% were Hispanic, they got 0.74% of the contracts. And if you were an African American woman, you didn't get a contract at all. Even Marvette Brittle couldn't get a contract with New York State. So the fact is that this situation needed to change, and I thought, how are we going to change it? Well, it changed itself, because 3 weeks after the meeting with the governor, I was sworn in as governor, and then I knew it was going to happen. Now, in this life or in your next life, if you should become governor, you should learn that you don't really have to work that hard. All you have to do is hire Paul Williams and Al Carney and Carol Wallace and just sit back and enjoy the ride. You don't have to work hard at all. And that is the beauty of strong leadership at the executive level. When the cabinet, who knew that when a new governor comes into place, met with me on the Thursday before I was inaugurated, they all knew that they had no jobs. Now, if you think I got a nice applause this evening, you should have heard the standing, rousing ovation I got that day from a bunch of people who I described as dead people walking, because they did nothing to further what I thought was an agreement to get minority and women-owned businesses involved, and they had a ticket out. And so then we brought in a team, and the results were staggering for what they were able to do. Chairman Carney gave those statistics before, and we can't be prouder of them. So I just came to thank Paul, now that he's come into the private sector. Maybe we can work together some more, because he really exhibits all kinds of greatness. He has a rare combination of skills. He's dynamic, articulate, perceptive, courageous, and outspoken, and he does it with a grace like no one I ever saw in public service. The following, I will raise my right hand before I say it, because people get up at celebrations of individuals and say these things, and they're just things to say, but they don't really mean it. But I really mean this. If I could go back and do it again, I would not have appointed Paul the chair of DASNY. I would let Al Carney take care of that. I would have appointed Paul secretary to the governor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor. It was an honor to serve under you. A couple of more introductions. I don't know if all of you have met Assemblywoman Rodney Biachette. She is now the head of the MWBE committee, and she is kicking butt. You guys passed, what, 8 bills this time around, just doing wonderful things. So she is leading the state, so thank you. We are glad to have you there. And I ran through it, and I do apologize. Assemblymember